It's 5 o'clock. It's September 26th, and it's time to call this governing board meeting to order at 570 Lito Galindo in good old Rio Rico, Arizona, in the governing school board room. Would everybody please stand for the pledge? And Mr. Verdugo, would you please lead us?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. And Susan Bobian. Brad Beach.
Present.
Joe Kramer.
Here.
Ms. Lourdes Vasquez.
Present.
And we have a quorum. Adoption agenda, adoption agenda, Mr. Fu. Okay, do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
A motion second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Passes 4-0. Call for the public. Community recognition, Mr. Verdugo. Thank you. I'd like to invite Mr. Pena.
For to work with the community and those that support us. Either 2019, or long-standing, I think, many years they've been doing
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, district administration. Thank you for allowing me to take the time this evening to recognize an incredible organization and three people who are part of that incredible organization. I'm going to go back to when my family first moved to Green Valley in 1979. My grandparents moved in 1969. We were in 1979. And every October, it was a pretty special time in the Green Valley area. There was a parade. And although throughout the years I participated in the parade, I watched the parade. The funnest part for me, and this is when some of you may not remember this, some of you may not even have been alive during that time. But that area, what is now, I believe, the Cancer Center, used to be called Lucky's. And then it turned to Abco. So those are some of the memories I have. And there used to be booths around the entire shopping center area. And it was just an incredible time with the family to walk up and down the booths in front of Lucky's and just see all the great things and all the great organizations that took part in that event. The Country Fair White Elephant has been instrumental in all great things that have been happening in not only in Green Valley, but in the entire southern Arizona. They've been a partner of our district and many other districts and many other organizations throughout southern Arizona. The Country Fair White Elephant consists of administration, two or three administrators, consists of a board, three of who are here today, and consists of over, this is not a misprint, 600 volunteers over the years. And without those volunteers, it would not run as smoothly as it has. They hand out over $1.5 million every single year to the community, to over 100 organizations. And to top that off, you think that would be enough, but no, they give out scholarships every year as well. They began over 57 years ago in 1964, and if my math is correct, that's what you mentioned, 65 years. 65 years. Next year will be their celebration. So it is. What's that? Oh, I have had the opportunity to volunteer. 60. I apologize. 60. I've had the opportunity to volunteer over the past 7 or 8 years. I know members of the district administration. I know members of the site administration have volunteered at the White Elephant. That is going to continue. That is one of the things that I like to take part in every summer. And then I try to gather people to help out. Whatever is needed at the White Elephant. I'd also, at this time, like to ask our governing board if they would be, if you'd be interested in volunteering this next summer, please reach out to me. They could use the assistance. I've had the opportunity to lift heavy things. I've had the opportunity to price the lawn and garden. I've had an opportunity to stock the lawn and garden area. So there's a lot of different things that you can do there. And I'd like to ask if in the following, in the upcoming years, you'd be willing to be part of that. So with that, I would like Judy Barkley, the treasurer, Joanne Fisher, and June St. John, secretary, to come on up if you would, please. We're gonna get a picture here in just a second, but first, I always like to read the certificates. And first, I'd like to thank Angie for putting the certificate together, especially that cute little elephant right there. It says, Certificate of Appreciation to Country Fair White Elephant in recognition of your generous donations to Santa Cruz Valley USD number 35 and making a significant impact to our students, staff, and community. And that is signed by our superintendent and our assistant superintendents, September 26, 2023. So on behalf of our district to the Country Fair White Elephant, we wanted to say thank you so much for all that you've done for Southern Arizona and continue to do, not only for our district, but the entire Southern Arizona. Thank you. And we'll, if you could.
We'll display this proudly in our school.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll say a couple words. Just thank you guys for all you guys do. Just the amount of money that we received from the White Elephant. I worked down in Nogales. I also worked in this district, Rio Rico. And we always put in for the White Elephant grants and scholarships and monies. It's basically, to us, it's like free money. Apply, they'll give it to you. So that money has gone to fund books, to fund clubs, etc. So you guys are making a difference in our students and definitely in our community. So I want to thank all you three, your organization. And I was up at the White Elephant this past weekend on the lawn and garden, and the prices were a little too high. No. But thank you for all you do.
You'll see you on contribution day.
Thanks, John.
Touche.
That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Beach. Vasquez.
He said everything, so yeah, but thank you very much for everything that you do for our community, for our schools, especially for all of our kids. I remembered also that, putting in for a lot of the stuff, especially the books, because when I was my first couple of years of being a teacher, we had no libraries and we had nothing, and we had the SSR, which was a silent sustained reading, and the kids had to read, and we had nothing. So thanks to you guys, we had our little libraries and stuff, and that was fantastic. So thank you so much for everything that you do. Appreciate you.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes, thank you. Yes, the White Elephant's always been very helpful, obviously to this district, certainly in where I used to work, where I retired from. We were always pleased to get it, as always, the gifts, the donations, everything we did. And it always went back to the students. And that's one thing we always are trying to, obviously, it goes back to the students. But it was always good to go up there too. And I know when we used to have where you gave the checks, you'd have everybody come in, and I don't know if you still do that, but
That's distribution day.
yes, that was really nice. That was great. And December 8th, that's right. Right, it was our early Christmas gift. That's what I used to say. And I got along really well. And I don't know if he's still there, but Tom Kelly.
Oh, yes.
Yes. All right, yes. And I always connected him with obviously the Minnesota Twins, but nevertheless, he was and each and every one of you guys. And John, yes, I will go out there on a limb but we're gonna have to use a district vehicle because I know we stopped. So the White Elephant stopped coming down in this area to collect furniture and everything else, which they used to do. But I think maybe if we can do something with our district and partner, maybe once a month, let people know in Rio Rico that if they want to donate items and such, we could take that truck.
Or you could just volunteer to be a truck driver.
I would certainly. I don't have my CDL license, but I could certainly drive the bigger truck. I'm certainly,
I second that.
and I would have Mr. Beach there beside me because he can be doing most of the lifting. And we're there, but certainly, and really, I think we could, if we could do something like that, it would certainly help, because I'm sure there's people in this area that would like to at least give back to the White Elephant as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Thank you, ladies, for all your hard work and for your generous amount of time that you spend. And raising all this money for our kids and truly benefits our community. I just want to say that Mr. Beach does have a truck, so. All of it's stuff.
Volunteer.
But thank you so kindly for all that you do. Thank you so much. Right along, Rio Rico High School Assistant Principal.
Thank you.
Mr. Lugo.
Thank you. So at the last board meeting, we approved already this individual to be assistant principal at River High School. And now, and she wasn't able to attend, and so tonight wanted to, on the request of the board, is to continue with our tradition of recognizing those individuals. So tonight, Ms. Claudia Delano is here. So again, it's just an opportunity for the board to share their thoughts and welcome her as a new administrator at River High School. Yeah. Beach.
Yeah, Claudia, just wanna thank you for always stepping up. You know, I don't know if the stars are aligning, but you know, we need her here. Okay, we approve it. No, we need her here. We approve it. So hopefully you're happy in your position. I know it's a very challenging position. Mr. Canoit speaks highly of you. And I think you'll continue doing an outstanding job over there. Yep. Uh-huh.
Thank you, Ms.
Mr. President, I think that she should be up at the honor podium.
Claudia,
Come over here.
maybe you should say a couple words.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this great opportunity. It's fabulous. Whatever the title you guys give me, I'll do my very best to do what needs to get done.
Vasquez?
Okay, well, what can I say? Last week, I went all out. So anyway, you know me, you know, I've known you for a long time, and like I said, if anybody can do that particular job and anything that comes up, I think it's you, Claudia. I mean, your dedication, your love for the kids, your love for the community, your willingness to help everybody, you're always available. She's the first one, like I said, she's the first one in and probably the last one out. And if somebody's slacking, guess who takes over the slack? Ms. Solano, okay, why? Because she does it for our kids, she does it for our students, she does it for our teachers, because she really cares, and I know this for a fact, so. Thank you very much, I mean, you are the one that is supposed to be there, I think, and I think you're gonna do, like I said, a fantastic job. Like you have in every other, you've always been the pawn, is it called? El comodín, okay, oh, this is Claudia, let's put her over here. Boom, everything gets done, okay, oh, this is Claudia, let's put her over here. She can do it, she's Mikey, okay, so you can do it. All right, so anyway, congratulations, you deserve this and more, okay, and I just wish you the best of luck. Anything you need, that's why we're here.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I love you, man.
I just started on the wrong side of you, I guess, because the president said you didn't want to come up there. But I think you should be acknowledged for all the good things that certainly one has said about you, and then certainly the faith that the district certainly put into you and everything that but you've earned it. See, that's something that you've earned. These aren't false praises of, hey, yeah. You've earned that. So that's why I think you need to be recognized, certainly, and say congratulations. We look forward to your continued success. Obviously, you've got a good team at Rio Rico High School. So I think things are going to go even better, certainly with the addition of your being an assistant principal. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You got your fans back there.
Yeah, look at that.
Shout out.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
So I got a golden opportunity to work with you, so I learned what you're all about. I remember how organized you always were and how hardworking, but yet you were always so cheerful. You had a good way with kids, as Vasquez mentioned. Since we both got a chance to work with you, we always remember that. I also remember how you supported me whenever I had to be the policeman over there at the school. And that's not always easy because, as everybody knows in here, when you're a disciplinarian, that's not a popular stand to take in any school. So, but you always supported me, and I appreciate that very much, and I know you'll do an outstanding job. So I agree with Mr. Beach. We all know that no matter where we put you, you're gonna do a good job. So we have confidence in you. So don't let us down.
Hopefully I will live up to all the expectations.
You will.
You will, and you will go above and beyond.
Thank you. Congratulations. Yeah.
This is the love from all our kids and for you. Thank you so much. Bye. Honestly, once we get there. Magic. I'll bring
There you go. Mira, lindo, lindo.
Framer.
Construction update, Mr. Verdugo. Invite Brian up. We have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Verdugo. Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. Thank you for having me on this last meeting of the month and give you another update on the construction going on at the locations that we're doing the work. So go ahead. Okay, the security measures, that's all the cameras and the card reader access. All of the locations or all of the cameras and the card readers are in place and they are ready, minus the ones going on at the new construction of the main campus and the 900 buildings. So those are following right behind as this construction completed. And actually they'll be able to get out there fairly soon to start going on those. As well as the closeout materials. As-built documents. The JROTC obstacle course has actually been done. The contractor was out there, I think yesterday, and they were able to start laying out the fence. The construction crew for the actual obstacles will be out tomorrow. So things are moving forward with this one and things are actually aligning and moving fairly well. The pool building is underway and you may have seen it or maybe not. But we have actually gotten to the point where we have block up. Steel is all in place, all the underground is placed and things like that. So I got some photos for the next few slides. Again, like I said, we have the excavation still has to be maintained so the dust control. The steel is up and you can see that the block has begun. This was actually just in one day. You'll see a quick turn here. You can see that they've already got it up to their chest. So I mean, they're laying block. And that was as of last week. So we're moving. Here's another good shot showing all the interior walls and things like that that'll be happening. Most of the construction will be the masonry block inside there. Moving forward, also with the CTE field house, we just had our bid openings today. I was glad to see that we actually had a large turnout, 6 bidders for that project. We are with the SFB funds and what was budgeted previously. It looks like we are within budget, so that's even better news. So now we go through the process of getting everything checked out, checking on all the references, And then, of course, presenting that to you next month for approval. So that was a big piece of news right there. And this is, of course, where the field house is going in that bottom corner. That hasn't changed. The main campus is still underway, and we are actually wrapping that up tomorrow. We will have a fire inspection come out, and they will start testing the fire suppression and the fire alarm system. Once that's done, then the county comes out to do their final inspection, which means we are this close to being complete. So this one's actually good. And right now, this is just showing the 900 building. Another shot of the interior of the 900 building. This is the 4 classroom spaces as your typical teaching wall. They have recreated the berm area or the landscape area around the back of the 1100 and the 1000. This is the main media center and classrooms. The stairs are in place. The stairs, of course, you've seen these photos before. They actually have their concrete was poured yesterday, and so the stair and the landings are now fully constructed. Now they just have to be painted and things like that. Can you go back to that slide? I actually had our contractor have someone stand up there for you so you can see that.
I was gonna say, oh, there he is.
Yeah, so it is your standard height, and I think he's about 6 feet tall, so it's pretty good.
Thank you.
Yes. This is a shot just showing the painting that has begun. The east and the north wall still need to be painted, and that's gonna happen tomorrow. This is the west side or the main entry points to that. This is the shot of the inside, looking into the new expansion of the cafeteria. The lights have been in place. A lot of the ceiling tiles in this photo you can see are complete. The drywall, the painting, they're doing final touch-ups on that. They're getting the rubber base in. Most of it actually is clean because today I saw that all the VCT on the flooring was in place. And that's getting ready to be taken care of and cleaned up for everybody tomorrow. So another shot, this is a shot looking at one of the hot serving areas. Again, this does not show that the flooring is done, but it is complete. And we actually have our signage also in place, and right above this area here, it says the grab and go. We have the area which you'll see in a second that has the book store. And this is another shot of the other portion of the grab and go stations, the cold area. And this has the booths along the side. Again, the lights are in place and things like that. This is looking at the bookstore. Like I said, the signage here is complete and it's been placed on the little curve. All of the clouds are being constructed. They were almost done with it today when I saw it. I think they had just a few more pieces and some tile to put up, and then that was gonna be wrapped up for us. This is inside the bookstore, which is a very large room, but it's gonna be for all the books and things. And we have some millwork in there, but this just shows that the flooring is in place and the walls are painted and things like that. This is the lower level. The concrete has been polished and it looks very nice. The base is in place. This room is pretty much ready. Just needs to have all the equipment moved into there. Once we get that certificate of occupancy. And this one is a shot of the media room down on the lower level. It shows the millwork. Our walls are all painted. This one is getting its second coat of paint. It actually happened already. So this room is practically ready to go.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What are the round things on the bottom of that picture?
The round things are in-floor outlets.
Okay, oh, thank you.
Yeah, so you have the flexibility of moving tables around, so.
Putting computers and stuff like that?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet. And I believe that was the last slide, yep. So, any questions?
Beach.
No, just keep on doing what you're doing. Everything looks good. I know the weather's cooperating and hopefully no back orders on our materials.
No.
So we should be moving full steam and just keep it up. Thank you.
Ms. Vasquez.
Yes, I have a question, okay, like the buildings, okay, like if you go back to one of the buildings, you know, like that are painted on the outside.
Yes.
Okay, they're like a little. Like a yellowy color, like a cream color, and the other ones are like an off-white. Is everything going to be painted the same color, or is it gonna stay like that?
When we started the project, the idea was to change the color scheme to the colors that we
That
had.
is right there, like that yellow, so that means that the whole.
Eventually, the entire campus will end up.
Eventually. Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much for job well done, and it looks amazing. Everything looks really, really good. I get it now with the cloud, what you were saying. I got that because I've seen the picture, so thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Looks really nice.
Mr. Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Oh, Brian, again, thank you. Thank you for the information, the updates. Thank you for giving us what's transpiring as far as when we're gonna get done. Hopefully that completion date will be.
Well, like I said, we are trying to get the substantial completion by the end of this month on the 29th. Is that right, Keith?
September or October?
September.
Okay.
And then we have the punch walks and things, which would take a couple weeks. And then you would get your full occupancy. Keith with SD Crane is here if you want.
Yeah, no, yeah. Just the one question. Wanted to put it out there because that's always been the question of what's going on. So. And that's only because some people do watch this and they certainly would like to know that information too. When those, some people are the parents or community members. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Well, Mr. Kramer brought up the point that I was going to, which was when was the next deadline? So we've had a lot of them, and as you know, from the very beginning of all this, I've always been concerned about us meeting the deadlines.
Yes.
And we certainly can't say that the delays have been due to the weather. I mean, this is the first, this is the first year, I think, in all my life that I've lived at my house. I've lived there for 28 years, that I didn't have to take out my weed whacker to do any weed whacking. It's so dry. So, you know how I felt. I told you before, you know, quoting Larry the Cable Guy, get her done. So I feel very adamantly about that. That's all I'm gonna say. But thank you for your presentation. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Superintendent's report for the
President, just one thing tonight, to recognize, we had a preschool meeting, on our new tools that will be recognized as tier schools. So we have Calabasas Middle School, Middle School, and High School, who will be recognized as, 781 schools across the country as the U.S. Healthiest School. So I want to congratulate them, the SHAC, and there are a few that will be attending a conference in Washington D.C. as part of this recognition. So we have, I think, Guatemala and Calabasas will be sending representation along with Shannon, who will be attending the conference in Washington D.C. representing our district. So I want to congratulate them.
Yes, sir. Any board member for the beach?
Yeah, welcome back, Doggo.
I'll be back.
I missed you last time, so welcome back.
Yes, that.
Yep, let's see. I had an opportunity to attend one of the volleyball matches. They played Pueblo, clean sweep. They swept them in 3, so they're looking real good. All our sports programs are doing real well. Where's John Fanning at? Is John still here?
No, he was.
Going to call the volleyball game.
Okay.
Volleyball game.
to announce?
Well, I was on my social media and I saw John Fanning, went down and did some volunteer work down in Hermosillo. And so I just wanted to recognize him. You know, that's on his own time. And we always, whenever you volunteer for something like that, you always get more from the experience than what you give. And so I shout out to everybody, if you want to do volunteer in the nursing home, hospitals, etc. You know, just seeing the eyes light up when you walk in, the hugs that you get, the emotions that you get from the individual when they see volunteers walking in. It's definitely worth the effort to do some volunteer work like that. So just a big shout out to John Fanning, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Vasquez?
Same thing that Mr. Beach says. He always takes the words out of my mouth. Okay, calm down.
Renee, call on her name.
Roll her on it. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, no, it's okay. No, yeah, again, to piggyback on Mr. Fanning, great job that he's been doing. The thing that he was doing in Hermosillo was looking at kids, okay, these are little kids, okay, with cleft palates and the surgeries that they had been going through, and he showed me right now a bunch of pictures of before and after, and it is amazing. It's just the faces of the little kids, you know, that, I mean, he said there's some kids that don't even have teeth, and you know, because of the severity of their, you know, of their illness and stuff, and he got to be a big part of all of that. So kudos to Mr. Fanning and to everybody involved in those things that, you know, that they do, especially because of the kids, you know, it's really important, you know, to help all of us, all of the kids, you know, and as much as we can. And again, congratulations to all the sports, volleyball, they won clean sweep. And every other sport that is playing right now, congratulations, give it all your all. We've got another week, I think, before fall break, you know. Get your grades up, kids, you know, do as much as you can, because grades are coming out next Friday, I think, right? So, okay, so anyway, congratulations to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kramer?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, good job to all the principals. Yes, 9 weeks already.
9 weeks down.
Wow, going fast. I'm sure that hopefully we're all doing well with our kids. As far as discipline too, if we look at the discipline reports, certainly that's, it's good to see nothing on those reports, but then it's good to see that there are things on there. That means you are staying engaged and actively, as you said earlier about the hand, I think, or something to that effect, certainly. Or the, you back in the day, say the chungla, I think, right?
Chancla.
Certainly, that's very important, because that does raise the concerns of what we as a board always have, and where I know we're talking about that, some of that, I don't wanna get too in depth, but it is important because the parents do still want their children to be safe and secure at the schools. And that goes right along to everything that's been transpiring, and certainly it's important. And the athletics, yes, it's good to see each and unfortunately, we're not getting as much press coverage as we probably should, because I don't see a lot of that, which is surprisingly, but certainly, granted, if you can keep putting that out there. I don't follow Instagram, but if you put more Twitter stuff, that would be great, or X, excuse me, X stuff. It's always good. It's very important also that we get more information about how the clubs are doing. I know we talked about the choral group, but I haven't heard anything going on about that. Certainly any of the middle schools, elementaries, of what you're doing with that, keeping our kids engaged, because that's high priority. And it's going well. Again, as I said, because it's good to see the diminishing of reports that we're getting in discipline. Or hopefully we're not just overlooking it either. Hopefully we're being, as again, I'm just gonna repeat 3 times, we're doing that. So thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. I'd just like to thank all the principals for all they've done. I've heard nothing but good news with regard to discipline within the schools. I know how hard it is to maintain discipline. You know, it takes a lot of effort, especially when you have grumpy parents that come in and feel that they're being treated unfairly. Like I said before, there are a lot of parents, you know, they love that we have rules, but many of them don't like it when it applies to their mijita. And so I appreciate all that you do every day. I know it's not easy. It's tough to take stands and to enforce the rules. It's not an easy thing. So I wanted to just praise you, because I've heard nothing but good things from all the schools. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know how hard you guys work. Thank you so much for the time that you put into your jobs too, including the assistant principals that support the principals as well, and everybody, the staff, teachers. It's like we really got off to a good year. Why not, Mr. Verdugo, started off really well. So thank you so much. Okay. Annual financial report, Mr. Verdugo. Thank you.
Mr. Brown, CFO, who's our auditor, AFR.
Good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. Here we are saying that we're in week 9 and I'm still talking about last fiscal year. This is the last piece of information for last fiscal year, and it is our annual financial report. Next slide, Shannon. I'm not gonna fight with it. So as part of tonight's report, I'm just going to go over some of the highlights of the financials for the prior fiscal year. We'll start with looking at our major funds, or the two main levy funds, our M&O or operating fund, and then we'll move into our capital fund. We'll take a look at the classroom site fund. We will revisit the expenditures in the bond and the override, and this is a requirement by law that we have to do while we're spending those dollars. Then we'll take a look at the grants in the area of federal and state, and those that have to do with the special funding related to COVID-19. And then we'll look at food service. Next slide, please. Okay. So when it comes to revenue associated with our major funds, in our M&O fund, we captured $24.7 million. And in capital, we captured $1.7 million. Total combined revenue represented a 9% increase from the prior year. The 9% increase, it's a combination of different factors. Last year, we did increase in enrollment. Then the state, for the first time in many, many years, did an increase in capital funds for school districts. So those two combined gave us the additional 9% in those two funds. Next slide. Now, the expenditures on the other hand, associated with our main operating fund, or M&O, total $23.2 million. So these are the general categories that the budgets in school districts are grouped in. So we have general instruction and special ed and CTE. Those two together made up 62% of the expenditures. Then we have athletics and band with 2%. We have administration, and for administration, this is combined administration, site administration, as well as central office administration, with 14% dedicated to that area. We have maintenance and security services with another 14%, transportation services at 7%, and food service and bookstore, just a small allocation for expenditures in those areas. I don't see any spikes or major differences from our expenditure patterns from prior years. They're pretty aligned to what we normally and how we normally spend our dollars normally. Next slide. Another way of looking at our expenditures is by, not so much by area, but by type of expenditure. I've always said that over 80% of our budget is dedicated to salaries and benefits. But yet fiscal 23 is telling us that 75% of the budget was dedicated to salaries and benefits. The reason why we see a drop in that area, it's not that we're hiring less staff members or that we're paying less. It has to do with how we're paying them and how we're bringing them to our district. It is to no one's surprise, we are all school districts across the nation being challenged by finding teachers, right? So we're having to bring long-term subs through purchase services. So that is a shift in how we are hiring individuals in our district, and that is creating that shift of dollars from the salaries and benefits bucket or area into purchase services. To give you an idea, in purchase services, contracted employees for fiscal 22, the prior year to what I'm reporting to you tonight, we spent over $567,000, right? In fiscal 23, we spent $684,000. And in fiscal 24, the fiscal that we're in, we're scheduled to spend $748,000. So that area continues to increase. So that's why we see a drop in what it used to be over 80%. Right? Next slide. We're going to move away from our operating fund and going to transition into our capital fund. In our capital fund, we spent $2.1 million. You can see from the slide the different areas. I know Ms. Fabion's not here with us tonight, but she would be happy to hear that transportation we started to move forward with our bus rotation schedule. And we were able to purchase 4 new buses, 2 for special needs and 2 regular 84 passenger buses. As well as replacing our fuel pumps that have been in existence forever. Forever. So that's why transportation made it all the way to the top as far as capital expenditures last fiscal year. We did a significant investment in that area. Followed by instruction at 26%. Then we had construction services at 22%. Then athletics and band with 12%. Maintenance 2.5, administration at 1.5, and then tiny allocation to food service and bookstore. Next slide.
Take it.
Thank you, Shannon. This is once again another way of looking at the expenditures, moving away from the different departments or areas into the type of expenditure. And you can see the vehicles are 35%, construction 23%, furniture and equipment 20%, curriculum materials at 16%, and technology at 6%. Okay, thank you. All right, moving away from our 2 major funds into some special programs. Classroom Site Fund. So fiscal 23 was the first year where we implemented and restructured the program. As you all know, because you approved the Classroom Site Fund program. So it created a new structure on how we allocate the funds. The state removed the requirement to tell us how we allocate the funds into different buckets. In our district, we increase significantly the allocation of base pay. In the screen, you can see that the prior year, for those participating in the program that are eligible to receive the funding, the prior year, those individuals received 2,673 from the base. Then last year, it went up to 8,165. That is the base pay. That is the individual receives those funds without having to perform on any additional duties. They just simply have to be eligible for the dollars, right? Then the next item, and this is a required component for the program, is the performance pay. In the performance pay, you can see a shift. And the prior year, employees received, those that completed the program, 5,354. This past year, it went down to 2,861. Then we ended up with a brand new area that was developed as part of the new plan. And that had to do with district initiatives. Total expenditures in this area were 310,797. And the different areas are listed on your slide. You can see that we have 2 class size reduction positions. Those are not new. Those have been there for a number of years. We always count on having those 2 individuals that is going to help us reduce our class sizes. The mentor program is also not a new element. But the advanced and intermediate tiered program, that is a new element, as well as professional development opportunities, and also being able to invest some of our classroom site fund in work dedicated to curriculum and assessment. Next slide.
Before we leave that, just real quick, I just to clarify those that property don't remember that it's not it's now, it's always been the classroom site fund, but everybody associates that with 301. So so when you look at the base pay, that's always been the question by teachers. Why do I have to do this additional duty or program? So now with the shift in the law, it allowed us to do some of those things and shift a lot of those funds into base pay. So now it was the opposite before, where before it was more into the performance pay, as you can see highlighted here with the 5,000. Now it's shifted. Base pay is now where most of the fund goes into, so it automatically goes into. Now they then can choose to earn additional dollars by doing performance pay things. So if they choose not to, they do not have to do the 301 as you guys know it any longer receive that like $8,000. So they can choose, but most obviously choose to earn that additional funding, but there is that option now to not do, which has always been there, but it was so significant now. Yeah. So now they have the opportunity again to earn more money, but more is in their actual paycheck.
And the payments for the base part that Mr. Badula is referring to, they go out parallel to their contract. So it's not like in December or at the end of the year, they go out during the entire course of their contract term.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm going back probably 10 years or so. When it first came to the taxpayers and we approved, I think it was some type of state tax or something that would go strictly for teachers' pay. The state decided to use it another way. We went to court over many years, and then we won the court case, but they didn't have money to put it in our salaries. Is this
Well, that's probably me.
okay?
This is a different one.
And then, although that this is tied to sales tax. So you can see during COVID, everybody was fine. Bring the level up. Because usually, previous years it was right around close to $11,000 and $12,000 total. But we think that it'll probably start to go down a little bit tax with inflation and other things. Not be buying as much in the future, so it will level out. But the good thing is when they get their contract, they'll see that that money is in the base pay. But we don't. Some districts put it in their base pay as saying this is what we offer new teachers. We don't have that amount in there because it fluctuates. And so some districts are going to see that their teacher base pay for starting teachers is going to go down because if that the cycle goes down, then that'll go down. So we want to make sure, again, we're always transparent. So this is what we pay as our base pay, and this is your separate funds from the site fund.
Another significant change that happened to the program guidelines, it not only gave more flexibility for the district to really work with those funds and build the program as it see fit to address the district needs, but it also allowed the district the opportunity to extend the contributions to other areas outside of teachers. It used to be only for teachers. Now, counselors is an area that can be eligible for the funding as well, among other areas. So. Thank you. So we just heard about the program, the progress of the construction projects. In the bond program, we are pretty sure in the last fiscal year of spending bond dollars. Last fiscal year, we spent $1.6 million. This year, we started the year with 4.9. And the two projects where we're investing those bond dollars are for the pool and the JROTC obstacle course. So by the end of this fiscal year, or with the culmination of those two projects, we should be done with the bond. On the other hand, we can't forget our override. Our override generates over $2 million. It's a 9% override. What it is, it gives us the opportunity to increase our general fund by 9%. And then we tell the community what we're gonna spend the money, and we do a report annually when we come and say, yes, we are spending in accordance to the border information pamphlet. So in the border information pamphlet, we said we would put it towards kinder, band, or media centers, art, CTE, technology, alternative pathway teachers, a community outreach coordinator, retention opportunities for teachers. So that's where the longevity stipend came into place, in athletics. So those are the different areas and how we are spending our 9% override. One very important point of information is that next year it's our opportunity to go out and renew the override. Okay. So fiscal 24-25 is when we need to go out back to our community to see if they would like to continue with the override.
It's hard to believe that it's been 5 years. This is early, so that there is not a drawdown because in year 6 and 7 of the bond, part of the override, it would be decreased. So we make sure that we'll be asking the board to explore that. We'll maybe committee with this committee in the spring, explore that to make sure that 9% is still what we want to continue with, so that we can then go to the November election in 2024.
We're going to move into other grants. Federal grants including the COVID-19 relief funds. We captured a total revenue of $6.3 million and we spent $6.2 million. Okay. Including in those totals are COVID-19 relief funds. So part of the 3.3 is COVID-19 relief funds. It's a significant part of our federal funds. Total expenditures associated 3.6, and you're like Isela, you're in the red because you have expended more than what we have. Carry over from prior years. That's why you see that that the expenditures are higher than the revenue received. Now we are currently just managing one last COVID-19 or relief fund, that is SBSR 3, the third one. So that will be fiscal 25 is the final year to spend the COVID funds.
Before I do that, just so that the board, where there are a lot of being done with those funds, that Ms. Brown and I are going to start to explore what positions, things that will need to continue, or that we may have to sunset, because of those funds being removed. And then we'll be meeting with the management council team, and then with the principals of our normal budget process that we meet. But Ms. Brown and I will start that process here actually soon, because those funds are starting to be drawn down, and we want to make sure that we never put ourselves in a situation that we can't sustain something, or if we can't sustain it, then we sunset it and make sure that we are able to meet our priorities versus trying to over compensate for things that we aren't able to maintain. So I just wanted to make sure that the board was.
In the area of state grants, we captured $1.1 million and the total expenditures were $772,000. The next area is our food service fund. We operate our food service program 12 months. I am very happy to report that an investment that we did with our COVID-19, which was the food truck, was extremely popular over the summer months. That was pretty much what helped us increase participation during the summer when we started to take that food service into our neighbors' hoods. And that was very, very popular. We have very, very good experience with that. We captured a total of $2 million in revenue. We did an expenditures of $1.6 million. We ended up with a healthy fund balance of $1.7 million. And then on the bottom, I give you a breakdown of the total meals, including the summer program. The fund balance of $1.7 million, we are working closely with Rio Rico High School. That cafeteria will need some, as you just saw, there are new areas, serving areas. So we are going to invest some of that fund balance into that cafeteria to enhance the experience for our students. And that is the IFR for fiscal 23. Are there any questions?
Mr. Beach?
No, thank you, Ms. Brown. The only thing I'm worried about is, the teacher shortage statewide. Hiring long-term subs, thank the subs for all they do. But I know as a department head and a teacher, here's a worksheet. They're constantly coming in, what should I do? What should I do? And they tend to get not the honors classes, but the big 34, 32, the lower level classes, and it could be quite hectic for the sub and very little learning going on. So that's my concern. Just keep on thinking outside the box, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and I haven't shared it with the board, but the HR group just recently completed their study for the previous year and actually current year, and there's still 7,000 non-certified people in the classrooms this year. To start out, and still 2,300 unfilled positions. So that doesn't include close to, I think, 2,000 in non-certified positions such as aides and bus drivers and things like that that are statewide. So overall, there's about 5,000 jobs in education that are still unfilled. Wow. It's really good. I'll share that study.
So, Ms. Vasquez.
Just. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for putting this out in a way that we can understand it really well. Very well done. I know it takes you a long time to do this, and I really appreciate everything that you guys do to make sure that we understand, because I don't understand you. Even though I'm a math teacher, some of the language, I don't understand your language. And I, because it's not, that's your expertise, but thank you so much for everything that you do. I really appreciate it because I understand it. Thank you.
Mr. Kramer?
Thank you, CFO Brown, for this. Yes, I mean, obviously I have a lot of questions, but I think I'll wait till the study session on all that, because this is not the place. But certainly I will credit the fact is, and I've seen this, and you said it, healthy. I've seen that food service fund when we were pinching pennies a few years back, back when everything was pinching pennies. I've seen districts that were in the red in that food service fund. So to have a healthy, CFO Brown stated, I think that has to be accredited to what you just said and everybody's hard work. So that's certainly accolades there. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I just had a question with regard to some of the things that we do with, say, transportation. I remember you mentioning once to us, or might have been Chris, that we had buses that were had 500,000 miles on them, things like that. What do we do with our old buses? What do we do? Whatever happens to them?
We sell them. We put them for online auction, and actually, if I may share, we had one bus that this year traveled to Peru. Yeah.
And some of those buses were sold, you could put cotton.
It's for over $5,000 that traveled all the way to Peru. So those engines are designed to take that many miles. And I guess that bus will continue to run in Peru. That's what we do. So we try to, by law, we have to go through a disposal process of our fixed assets, right? It's a capital item. And one of the things that we can do with them is we can put it out for auction. And we do that. We have an online platform that we work with states that we're partners with, and that's where we put our items. And they're popular. They're popular.
In addition, we did some grants that we got some new buses, but what was they were replacing? We weren't allowed to sell at auction.
That was the Volkswagen last
Settlement
years ago.
anything that we then put up for auction, and they are back to mine usually. Generally in state, but out of state, as you just mentioned, like Mexico, but I just love to buy the buses.
I can picture them up there in the mountains, the hairpin turns.
Oh my God, no.
You know what city in Peru?
Oh, I don't. I can probably gather that information.
Fly down and check it out. See that?
Field trip.
What about books? Do we sell our old textbooks as well?
Books that are more difficult. What we do is we offer them to the neighboring districts to see if they're interested. And then we can also have an effort to sell them to our students if they choose to buy them from us. That has never been popular. And then we can take them to a nonprofit agency. So they will never ever go into a trash bin. But that's the process with old textbooks.
Maybe this question is for Mr. St. Cour. What happens to the old Chromebooks when they run out of their license? What happens to those? They end up in a junkyard somewhere? Sell those too?
Same process.
It's the same process. So the process applies The policy applies to all of our capital items that we get rid of, so we do put them out for action. We do say that the license is not active or it has reached its end of useful life. But, I mean, it's just, you still find buyers.
Wow. Not bad, not bad.
So
One more thing I wanted to talk about is stress, because I said this at the beginning of the year when we had the big. At the start of the year. Is that I believe that we need to do a better job of pushing the tax deductible donations. So I was just thinking in this room, I was counting up the people, just in this room alone, if we could raise like $7,000 to $8,000. If we made our donations to some worthwhile cause in the schools. So I really would like to see us do that, push that more, because that money, if you think about what percent of our community is donating toward our schools, it's not very big, and if we did a better job of pushing that overall and through all communication through superintendent's reports and with Shannon and everybody, I think we could collect some more dollars, because let's face it, when people pay, they don't donate, that money goes in Maricopa County and forget it, it's gone. It's not gonna trickle down here like we all like to think. So I'd just like to see us do a better job.
Out of it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Stella, for all you do. This is an action item, so do I hear a motion to approve the annual financial report for fiscal year 2022-2023 is presented?
So moved.
I have a motion second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Review of the dress code and discipline. Verdugo.
Thank you. So this has been a topic for the board that requested to review our policies regarding student attire, as well as looking at the discipline code of conduct. So I would suggest that we start with the as well as the cell phone policy as well in our code of conduct as well. Policy. If there's any recommendations for the best we can.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Beach, do you have anything that you'd like to modify with regard to the policy?
Back it on to Mr. Kramer first.
Okay, Mr. Kramer.
Well, I think that this is what was handed to us as from the trust. Is this the trust policies?
Yes, this is the trust.
So we haven't added any changes to this.
Very similar to what we previously had, so this is, it follows pretty much what our previous was. Although it was transferred from.
What it was?
What it previously was in the ASBA policies.
If this was our previous dress code of what it was, I seem to remember hearing a board member saying that she went into the campus and saw so many midriffs, she was appalled.
Last year.
I'm not, no, you know what I'm saying. That's why I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. If this was the policy and you saw that, the policy wasn't being followed or implemented, correct?
Exactly.
That's correct.
Okay. With that said, then the principals have their handprints into this and saying, they're good with this, we need to tweak it, we need to add more, we need to, because if we haven't changed anything, I would like, certainly like the authors of the schools to have some input, rather than the board saying, this is the way it should be. They could say, you know what, we probably need to add this, this, and this, because we're seeing this. That's just my opinion on this, and I know you put, you know, I'm saying what I'm saying on this. I'm not disagreeing with some of this. I would probably add some things, tweak some things. But again, it's up to the principals to say, hey, you know what? Maybe we need to add a little more.
And again, they can add those, which they're welcome to do so, which I mentioned to them last week that we'd be having a discussion, and they're welcome to add those comments of what they would like. But again, just a reminder to the board, you were the policy creators and we're the So that's where, we can give you input on what we think it should be, but again, you are the decision maker, setter, and then we are the administrators.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with that, David. I'm saying
I
it's,
just want to clarify so that people understand that we aren't creating the policy, they're just giving recommendations to the board so that you guys can then make a decision of what you want.
okay, I'll say as a former principal then. I like the autonomy of creating the policies and taking it to the board and saying, this is what we like to see, this is what we do, this is how we're going to do that. And if we're gonna say that, I'll go back to then the past of, I was questioned by the board a few years back, myself and another principal. Well, why are you suspending so many people? Why are you long-term suspending so many people? Because we as principals were doing probably above and beyond what the board had in their policies or what they were saying. Again, I'm throwing the authorship back to the site-based, not that I'm trying to say we're not the policymakers, I'm fine with that, but I would like some input from the principals on the ground. If what I'm saying is the policy last year wasn't being imposed upon, well, this is the policy, okay, this is the minimum. Do we need more? I'm not gonna be the one to say you should be, I could, but I'm not really the one to be saying that. That's just my opinion. I think it certainly behooves the principals to have some input into this. I'm not trying to throw that responsibility back on, but again, I'm going back to as a former principal, I certainly like that damn autonomy of saying this is what I can do, and if the board supports me, then so be it. Not that you're gonna be that, but you're certainly, it gives you that much more of what you said earlier, and I'm going back to see, Lourdes, your authorship is being repeated now 3 times. It certainly, it's important. I'm not disagreeing with any of this, and I certainly think the exposes the wearers midriff undergarments or undergarment areas, obviously that was there. It wasn't being followed. Hopefully it is this year. Certainly things to that effect. I think there was a rule about baseball caps back in the days that you take the caps off in classroom, but outside the classroom, you can throw it back on. I didn't see that last year either, because I walked into some classrooms and everybody was wearing baseball caps.
Agreed.
And that's not in here. Again, I'm just pointing out a couple of things. Now, if we're gonna just go through it and say, yeah, it's good, well, I think that we need to spend a little more time on that. You know, or in here, can kids walk barefoot? There's nothing in here about shoes. And I know we used to have, we had that in our policies. About chunglas and whatever else and how they had to be, but there's nothing in here about that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm just, again, I'm trying to create a situation where we can get you guys involved. So you're saying this is what we need to add upon. I just said about 2 or 3 right now. I could add more. But that's certainly something that those 2 items that I said about caps and chunks, they're not in here. Well, that's my look at this. I mean, everything else obviously is set by there's only A, B, and C. B and C, we're not gonna tweak because that's a given, right? Exactly. And religious. So, but the first part is certainly, I think, something that the principal's gotta be, this is what I have to, what they would like to look at. If you would agree or disagree with fellow board members, but I'm just bringing that in as what we used to look at. And certainly it's something that I think there's probably more that I'm missing, because I've been on a loop for many years. So thank you. Since Brad, you pushed it to me, I'll give it back.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll hand it back over.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. We appreciate your administrative insight. Thank you so much. Ms. Vasquez?
Yeah, you threw it my way.
Okay.
Yeah, I think as far as setting the policy tonight, I think we probably need more discussion and maybe on a study session to get the wording down. Cause I did, look over some things with, skirt length, et cetera, for females, the extended finger rule, where they hold it down to the side, you know. That's one. No exposed midriffs was in there. No see-through clothing was another one. I have to discuss. Tops must have shoulder straps, armpit to armpit rule, where it goes from here to here, no showing of cleavage. And most of these pertain to females. And jeans and pads to be worn at hips. So those are some of the things that might need to be more specific in wording.
We just have to be careful that we abide by the law as well.
You're correct, and I was just gonna say, although they traditionally for female, it is for male.
Right.
OCR just
Right.
a binding that you have to adhere to both, that
Right.
necessarily becomes non-binary. Because, that's why single out females versus males and so forth, so.
So my recommendation would be maybe add it to the study session. And cause we could go all night on wording and stuff to actually get the policy in place. And we could have input from our principals in a good, healthy discussion.
Yeah, so that would be my suggestion, that would be, to follow what Mr. Kramer is asking, that, our, leadership team would then draft some recommendation for the board. And then we can discuss it on the 21st as part of our study session, and come up with a final recommendation. Good with the board.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'll just say the autonomy. I'll bring one other item. But they applauded it and supported it, but it was never a board policy. But I added school shirts in. When I first took over the school back in 2006, added that in. We went to dress polo shirts. Never really approved by the board, but they didn't have a problem with it, and it just became an automatic. And you know what? I never got pushback. You were there when I was there. The parents liked, they were fine with it. Because they were nice polo shirts. And I'm not saying to go to polo shirts. I'm just saying that was something that I did as a principal, and it certainly helped. And again, the feedback was 90% positive from those parents at that school at that time. But again, that's what I'm saying, the autonomy. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. I'm done.
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
No, I totally agree with Mr. Both of them, actually. I think that we do need a lot of input. Like I did my research and I got some from, like from, what is it, Surprise Phoenix? And because I didn't like the wording either, okay? Because what's happening right now with our kids is that we say something, okay, like, okay, you can't use, or you can't show no spaghetti straps, whatever, or no undergarments showing, okay, well, what do? They don't wear them. They don't wear an undergarment. And I'm serious. I mean, we're not talking about any, we're not talking, I went to the school like I said, okay? And I did tell, the principal at that time, I said, look at this is what I don't like. And oh, it doesn't bother me. Well, shame on you, because it bothers me as a woman. I mean, it bothers me tremendously, okay? Because I think that I don't think that a young lady should be exposing herself that much. But again, okay, even the boys, okay, you don't use that, okay? And we never let them use like, the wife beaters or the, or whatever, and yeah, those are, that's what the t-shirts are called. You know what they're called. You know what I'm talking about. See, I'm just kidding.
Tank tops.
Right here, right here.
There you go.
Never leaves the house.
You guys understand me? You guys understand me? I'm sorry. But anyway, but yeah, there was a lot of things, about the girls and I know that it seems like we're picking on but not really, because, they're the ones that are pushing it. Like right here, we don't have any, anything like he said, there's nothing that says about the shoes or the chanclas or whatever. Also spandex, okay? You've got this young lady that I saw just the other day with the light pink spandex. Nothing to the imagination. It was all there, okay? So, and it's something that, I mean, we've got our young males, okay, that have their hormones on their lashes and they blink and holy moly, okay? But, and they disrespect our girls, and that's what we're trying to avoid, I think, the fact that they should concentrate on their studies, on what they're doing in class, and not on looking at who's bending over or who's not or whatever, and I think that's a really big thing. And like I said, I have another one here that I got from TUSD, and basically these are the same, it says it does specify you know, like with the, like see-through ripped or torn jeans or, you know, undergarments. And it talks about, you know, spaghetti straps, halter tops, because if you tell a girl, well, you know, you can't show your bra, well, she'll wear a halter top. Okay, well, that doesn't say anything. So we have to be like really specific, I think. And I think it is something that we're gonna need to address, like he said, you know, in something that is, you know, more to the point and more to what's happening with the help of our principals, I think, okay? You know, I really think that, you know, I mean, I don't think the kids want to go as far as, and I know that, I mean, I think hell will break loose if we say, you know, you guys are gonna wear, you know, like, you know, polo shirts, because I think we'll lose half of our students or whatever, and that's not what we want. We want our kids to express themselves, but to express themselves with dignity and with respect for themselves, for their bodies, for, you know, for who they are. And, you know, and I think this is something that we can help them with and still, you know, a win-win situation with everybody. So that's what I think. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, I believe firmly that our community supports a dress code, despite what some people have said here and things that I had heard in the spring, things got kind of tough. We had some pretty interesting discussions here and calls to the public. I remember very clearly what Mr. Beach said. We have other voices out there that we're not hearing. And I'm a firm believer that our community is very traditional, and that they want our kids to dress decently. Now, how we start defining that's tough. That's very difficult. But I tell you, I think I agree with Mr. Kramer that we should talk to the principal about this. But one thing I disagree with is that since we have school uniforms from K through 8, I don't think we really have much discussion there and much to discuss or hear from the principal. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'll tell you, what I didn't like to see was when the kids came from there. I mean, I asked myself, why on God's green earth do we have uniforms, school uniforms? I remember when they came about, because my daughter was in middle school. My daughter used to dress appropriately. She'd never leave my house. Dress the way I saw some of the people dressed at the high school. Right? No way. And you're talking about bare midriffs. I saw 27 bare midriffs in a matter of 10 minutes when I went to visit the school, and that really, I found that very alarming. But, and because I know in my heart that the community doesn't want that. And we have lost a lot of students to other communities, to other districts, because we weren't strict enough. I really am a firm believer of that too. We've had those discussions, Mr. Verdugo, and I know that I know you and your team have been working hard. And I know that Mr. Canoy and his team have been working hard, because as I mentioned earlier, the governing board member report, I heard nothing but good things. So I expect a lot of people start that way. I hope. Anyway, that's my hope. But before I mention anything else, I think it is wise to hear from Mr. Canoy. So I would like to invite you to come up for a moment to see how you feel about it before I let you know how I feel about it, because I think it's important.
No pressure. Claudia, would you like to? No.
It's no secret that the dress code wasn't enforced. I think it hasn't been enforced in 4 years. So the dress code that you have in front of you that you're looking at has been enforced this year. And yes, I appreciate the thought of having discussions and talking to our stakeholders, but I haven't seen any dress code violations or any dress code after week 1. I haven't seen anything that distracts from student learning. Maybe today, Ms. Pearson saw someone from head to toe in a Tickle Me Elmo outfit, but I didn't see him. But yeah, there's nothing that I've seen that is distracting from learning. So I would say that please think about that. And I know you will think about the purpose of the dress code, what you want to accomplish. I know that there's layers of things to think about, community standards, student and family means, and the intentional purpose of having a dress code and what we want to accomplish there. So I would welcome anyone to come to campus and look at it. Now, I don't know on any given day, there's a student or two that is in dress code violation and has to change or go get a jacket out of his or her or backpack. But from what I hear, it looks drastically different than years past. And I guess I would encourage you to come to lunch, right? That's when everyone's out and about, and see what kids are wearing and see what you think, if there is how serious the issue is, if there is an issue indeed. Because enforcing, yeah, we probably should have some shoes on there, right? You need shoes, wear your chocolates, guys. But I don't want a dress code that is so specific that outlines everything kids can and cannot wear, because I don't think that it'll be embraced very well by the students. And I think simpler is better, quite honestly. And I'm proud of what, come to school, I'm proud of what kids are wearing and doing.
Awesome.
Is that anything else, like anything specific you'd like to hear or discuss, or please discuss?
No, sir, I appreciate you inviting the board. I think that's really cool. You invite the board to come see. This shows your confidence. That's nice, and yes, we'll do our best to try to, along with the principals, as Mr. Verdugo mentioned, to have these rules in the spirit in which they're intended. We have to be very careful. We want a good dress code, but we also, as you say, want to make sure that, and as Ms. Vasquez has pointed out, we don't want to violate the law, first of all, and we can't do that. The other one is that we want to respect their independence too, and want them, but by the same token, we still want to have a good dress code. But I've heard nothing but good things about what's going on at the school, and I appreciate all your hard work, and I figured it was gonna take you a good couple of years before you were able to really to turn everything around with regard to phones and dress code, and because I figured they would fight you tooth and nail if they were used to being able to wear bare midriffs and things of that nature. So I don't envy you the task, that's for sure, Mr. Canuck. And the rest of your team. Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking time. I saw some things too on here, like Mr. Kramer. One that I was concerned about was with regard to, we say, well, a kid shouldn't wear a bare midriff, and then they show their backs. So I was thinking that maybe we should put something in there that says, when it words the way it's worded, it says attire may be prohibited when it, and I thought when it does not cover one's back or front torso, I thought that would be a little bit more encompassing. I did my homework too, like Ms. Vasquez here. And I thought another one, I remember how John Fanning used to be when he was a basketball coach. He was very strict, and I'm sure a lot of other coaches from different sports. But I thought it should also read, attire may be prohibited when it is inappropriate for the sport or school activity as outlined by school policy and coaches. And attire may be prohibited when it is a pajama top or bottom. We've had that issue at my school where we've had kids come in with pajamas, and there's nothing that says that here in our code. And we do have them, especially toward the end of the semester. When we get near the holidays, we have kids that try to come in a pajama bottom, and we dress code them. The other thing I want to mention too is that we should have enough clothing for these kids whenever we have to dress code them and send them up to the office. I don't know how that all works with you guys, but just a suggestion. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm probably speaking to the choir, you guys probably already have it all taken care of. So, what else? Attire may be prohibited when it is an undergarment or appears to be like one's undergarments. I thought maybe we should throw something like that in there. I know I'm being specific here. I got one more. I like this one because this one's very encompassing. I think we should throw something in there that says attire may be prohibited when it does not abide by what the principal deems appropriate within the scope of the law. And that pretty much covers it all. This way, we don't have these people doing hair splitting distinctions with Mr. Canoy and driving them nuts. He can just go right to that rule. And I trust his judgment. I really do. I know that he would be fair. I feel all the principals here would be extremely fair when it comes to something like that. Leave it up to the principals. Just like during COVID, we threw everything on you. We trusted you. I trusted principals when it comes to something like that. And I think that would be all encompassing. Then he could just call it as it is, right there and then quote that rule. But that's just me and put that out there and. If any of the other governing board members have anything to say about what I said, well, I would like to hear the discussion. Kramer?
Yeah, I concur with that. Each and every one of us, we all have our opinions and what we said, and certainly, obviously, we're trying to be positive. I mean, yeah, you could start splitting hairs on this one now, right? We could get into what happened in Colorado, the "Don't Tread on Me" flag from the junior high or the middle school student. And that came out to be what? That it was permissible. But that was an interpretation by that time with the assistant principal. So again, those are the kind of things that obviously they're gonna have to work with your team on what's permissible and what's not permissible. Certainly anything with biblical statements and anything to that, and I say biblical because biblical covers different religions as well, because they all share different passages of that book. So again, is what's permissible. And I think, you said it, don't make too many rules, and we didn't have too many rules on that. It was also by interpretation, much like what courts do. They interpret the guidelines of what is set forth. And then they go forth with that, much like the principle that misinterpreted what the "Don't Tread on Me" flag and its history of that flag. Certainly, and I'm just using that as an example because that did go up to where the board had to intervene and say it's okay. So I'm just saying that on this one, because you did bring that up, and it certainly, again, I think it has to come back from here to us, and certainly of how you're going to look at that. And I'm not trying to get specific on that, but that's current, that's what's going on. And we definitely have the team politics going on, so we have that going without what's going on with the rest of the country, states, and everything to that effect. Certainly, if we read about that, you're gonna get into certainly from the journals that we get from Education Week or ISTE or anything to that effect. Granted, I go further in depth in reading it and stuff, but it's certainly what you're saying. You touched on it. Lourdes, you touched on it. And Brad, you touched on it. But it's again, John, you said it. And it's not so much the middle school and elementary schools, because we hit on that and we did say that it's pretty easy to manage because of why? Why is it easy? Uniforms. And that's why when they go K-8, up to K-8, and that's why I said what I said is, some parents even said, well, why do you stop there? I'm just bringing that up. I'm not trying to create I'm not owning up to it. It's great. I'm just saying it's easier. It's the high school right now that we're associating this policy with. Right? So again, it's the high school team, what you guys are looking at. And I say that in a general purpose of how you're looking at what you're doing. And John, congratulations. If you're saying that's true, then that you did wonders. And that's what we hired you for, right? I get that. As you said, at least you were honest about it. In the last 4 years, your seniors were probably going, what the heck? But the fact that you've done that and changed it, then you commend it, all three of you and your rest of your team. And maybe we are stepping over boundary, I guess, I don't want to say that either, but that's my look at it. I don't want to step on your toes as a board either. I don't think administration.
So again, that's why I think having a more, I think we've had a really good beginning to the discussion. And so if we can take it back to the leadership team, come up with some drafts, if there's any changes, fine, we have your remarks that you so that we can again take that or Smith, and then bring it to the board on the 21st to have a discussion. And I think also for the sake of time tonight, maybe adding the cell phone issue, because I think there's going to be some more in-depth discussion. We as I mentioned before, studies about cell phone use and there is some clarification, I think, that needs to be done with the board as well. What's the difference between cell phone use in the classroom and outside of the classroom? So I think, on the 21st, we can have a discussion that day and focus on that. We have that as an agenda item to talk about some of the other issues as well.
You do have that in the next one of these here, right?
Yeah.
So we're not gonna talk about that?
I would say just for the sake of time tonight, that we probably want to have a very, it sounds like we want to have a more in-depth discussion and then make a less decision.
Well, I just wanted to echo what Mr. Kramer said. We certainly don't want to do anything to fight hard for the principals, that's for sure. We don't want to make it so hard when you have some kind of rule that drives you nuts, you know, where you're having to come in and measure people and that kind of stuff, you know? It's, we don't want to do anything to hurt you guys. We want to help. And, but we don't want rules to be loosey-goosey either, where students can come and throw them back in your face and say they're so vague that, you know, hey, you say I can't wear, I can't show my strap, so now I'm gonna wear a tube top. In defiance. Yeah, things like that. We don't want to play around with that kind of stuff either. We want it to be solid. But, I think, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think Mr. Verdugo's suggestion is a good one, that we hold off for the cell phone until the study session. I don't know, I'd like to hear how everybody feels about that, Mr. Kramer.
No, I think that if you're looking at time constraints, I concur. There's a lot to talk about, and if those of you that want to look in there is actually right now in this week's education week, it is talking about cell phone usage. And what other districts across the country are tackling. And the fact that 14 and above, 90% people have the phones. And most of that phone usage is driven by who? Parents. Meaning incoming, the incoming.
That's where I think there needs to be some clarification of some of the different tools and things that we have as. Mr. Beach?
Yeah, I would either table it till the 21st, so we can do a more of an in-depth and get the wordage down.
Okay.
We're gonna leave just one other thing then, right, just because this is obviously Mr. President. We're gonna move off the student code of conduct as well.
Yeah, we can put all that together on, and that could be really focused on our study session.
I'm just, yeah, because there's things on there, that student code of conduct, because that is certainly something that I think we need to be looking at. Because there's a lot of in here that easily you guys can go like this and push it off to the SO, Sheriff's Office. Because there's a lot of violations in here that throw it back to the SO. If they do nothing, then it becomes back to us of, okay. But I think there's a lot more that we should be reporting, it may not, and that's just my opinion, from the last 4 years. Certainly, middle schools, I know you guys are new to this, and you probably have that, because I know you do. You have life's situations going on in there as well, both of you, at your schools, so. I'm just saying that because there's some that are just said ARS mentioned it, but then there's some, there's nothing about violations. Yeah, we've got, I was gonna say weapons, and there's no mention of any ARS violation on. But that's certainly there. I think that's what I'm saying as the board, we wanna put where, hey, you guys report this to local law enforcement. Because again, you're pushing the SOs to be doing their job. Because a lot of these are state violations. That's one of them. Even toy guns and weapons. Gang activity. I won't stop. Last one I will say, fighting. Mr. Beach and I were kids, we were punching each other. I would get one punch, that was lucky, and then I'm done. But if the one punch is, and we're students, and I punch and hit his nose and blood comes gushing out.
It's not accidental contact, it's mandatory.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, that was an automatic 9 days suspension, and that was reported, and again, this was in Nogales, so the police department took care of it. They automatically cited them for things like that, and I know that hasn't been going on that much as the fightings have been going on, because I think that, not right now. Again, just something I want to just bring that up, Mr. President, because I think you and I, one of us have had that discussion at the law conference about this. Because a lot of these we should be listing. Which is not. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Vasquez?
I think we should table it, and I think we should input.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we table this issue with regard to the dress code and discipline for Saturday study session.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. Okay, SCVUSD policies, does anybody have anything? No one said anything yet. Okay, great. We can move right along then. Anybody, any governing board member have anything they'd like to propose or prioritize for future board meetings?
I have none.
Okay,
I have two. One for our proposed topics for our study session. Number 8. Let's just add tax rates in there.
civic with you.
Mr. President, I called him. Give you the.
Okay.
Well, not right at this time. When you can meet with them, then when you can get it in there, we don't have to discuss it, right? We're not to discuss it.
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
But you understand
what specifically?
Well, yes, just tax rates will be good and then I can explain it to you.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. President.
All right,
And October 24th, I think we are definitely overdue, and they used to do at least quarterly, is the Sodexo report. Not mainly from the food, because we got the food, but I think as we were tasking the principals to hold them to task while keeping our campuses and district clean, I think we need a Sodexo report. Facilities, yes. Thank you, specifically facilities. Food service, I mean, they're doing it. Thank you, that's it.
okay, thank you. Vasquez?
Nothing.
Nothing as well. So moving right along, approval of the consent agenda. Does any board member have something that they would like to take off the consent agenda to discuss? Mr. Kramer?
No, I'm good.
Each? I'm good. Vasquez?
I'm good.
I don't either, so do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
A second, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 4-0. I will have no further business to discuss. This meeting is adjourned. 6:37.